KitchenAid's Classic, Artisan, and Artisan Plus mixers look almost identical, but the price jumps from $400 to $500 to $600. So what are you actually paying for when you upgrade? To find out, I tested all three side by side using the exact same ingredients, quantities, and speeds. I made whipped cream, chocolate chip cookies, and pizza dough. I tracked how well each mixer incorporated the ingredients, how often I had to stop and scrape the bowl, how well the attachments reached the sides and bottom, how much the mixer heads shook or bounced, and whether the controls or locking mechanisms caused any problems. I also measured noise and power draw at different speeds and compared the bowls, attachments, controls, and overall design across all three. During testing, I found a few surprising differences that nobody seems to be talking about, including one important design change on the newest model. By the end, you'll know exactly what you're getting at each price point, and you'll have all the information you need to decide which KitchenAid mixer is right for you. Before I get into the performance tests, it's important to understand the design differences. The Classic mixer comes with a 4.5 quart bowl without a handle, and the Artisan and Artisan Plus both have 5 quart bowls with handles. If you care about colors, the Artisan comes in over 20 options. The Artisan Plus comes in 14, and currently, the Classic is only available in 2. Another key difference is the attachments. Classic and Artisan mixers both come with a flat beater, a dough hook, and a wire whisk. The coated flat beater and dough hook are dishwasher safe, but the whisk isn't because the hub is aluminum. Over time, that aluminum can discolor and look dirty even when it's clean. The Artisan Plus comes with 4 stainless steel attachments: a regular flat beater, a double flex edge beater, a dough hook, and a whisk. The double flex edge beater has rubber edges on both sides that scrape the bowl while it mixes. All 4 are dishwasher safe. They're also noticeably heavier and sturdier. For example, the Artisan Plus dough hook weighs almost twice as much as the hooks that come with the Classic and Artisan. The beaters are also more than twice as heavy. The controls are also different. The Classic and Artisan have KitchenAid's traditional speed lever. Only the even number speeds are marked, so if a recipe calls for an odd speed, you have to position the lever between 2 settings. The Artisan Plus has a redesigned dial with a clear position for every speed. Just like the other mixers, it clicks into place at each numbered setting. However, you can also twist the dial to switch into a smooth slider mode, which lets you stop at the precise speed you want. It also has an important safety feature that the others don't. If the Classic or Artisan is left on a speed above 0, it starts running as soon as you plug it in. The Artisan Plus doesn't. You have to return the dial to 0 before it will start. It also has an automatic bowl light that turns on when you lower the mixer head. This isn't a major upgrade, but it does make it easier to see what's happening inside the bowl. Those are the differences on paper, but the real test is how they perform when you actually start using them. Before I get into that, I want to quickly thank Pesty for sponsoring this video. We have woods and wetlands right behind our house, so as soon as the weather warms up, the bugs show up too. You can call a traditional pest control company, but that can cost you hundreds. Or you could go to the store and buy a random spray, but a lot of times those products are diluted, outdated, or not customized to the bugs that you actually have in your home. With Pesty, you get pro-grade pest control you can apply yourself, starting at just $35 per treatment. When you sign up, they ask where you live and which types of bugs you're seeing. Then they build a treatment plan around your location, weather, season, and specific pest problems. Each box comes with the pesticide, a rechargeable sprayer, a mixing bag, gloves, and simple instructions. You can complete each treatment in about 10 minutes, and you don't have to make any appointments or let strangers into your home. Pesty also has a bug-free guarantee, so if the bugs don't go away, they'll refund your money. If you're ready to get started, scan the QR code or click the link in the video description and use code PRUDENT10 to get 10% off your first order. To see how these mixers actually perform, I started with whipped cream. For each mixer, I used the exact same recipe: a half cup of cold heavy cream, a half tablespoon of powdered sugar, and a quarter teaspoon of vanilla. I intentionally only used a half cup of cream because small batches can be difficult for stand mixers. If the whisk doesn't reach low enough or make enough contact with the bottom of the bowl, it can take longer to whip the cream, or it can leave some of it untouched. I used the same process and speed settings for all 3 mixers, and I tracked how long each one took to reach stiff peaks. All 3 performed almost identically. They got to stiff peaks in about 2 minutes, the whisks made enough contact to incorporate all the cream, and I didn't need to scrape the bowls. I did accidentally over-whip the first Artisan Plus batch because I left it running for about 15 seconds too long while I was adjusting the camera. But I repeated the test and the second batch came out perfect. For the cookie test, I weighed every ingredient and made the same full batch of chocolate chip cookies in each mixer. I started by creaming the butter and sugars, then I added the eggs and vanilla, followed by the dry ingredients. I added the chocolate chips last and stopped mixing as soon as everything looked incorporated. The Classic and Artisan performed almost exactly the same. Both mixed the dough well, but I still needed to scrape the sides of the bowl a few times, especially after adding the dry ingredients. Some of the flour collected higher on the walls where the flat beaters couldn't reach, but that's fairly typical for stand mixers. The Artisan Plus was clearly better in this test, mainly because of the double flex edge beater. The rubber edges continuously scraped both sides of the bowl and pushed the ingredients back toward the center. I only needed to scrape the bowl once after adding the dry ingredients, because a small amount of flour remained near the top where the beater couldn't reach. Other than that, the beater did the scraping for me. The open design of the double flex edge beater also keeps cookie dough from collecting in the middle, so you don't end up with a large clump stuck between the crossbars like you do with the other beaters. After mixing, I portioned out the dough and baked cookies from all 3 batches. As you can see, all 3 came out well. The cookies spread and browned similarly, and I didn't notice any major differences in the final result. One other thing happened during this test that has nothing to do with the cookies, but it's worth pointing out. The head on all 3 mixers doesn't lock in the raised position. While I was scraping dough off the beater, the head dropped unexpectedly and smeared dough onto the mixer. This could catch you off guard, create a mess, or potentially pinch your fingers. Other brands lock the head in both the raised and lowered positions, so you have to intentionally release it. And I think this is a much safer approach. Next, I made pizza dough from scratch, which was the toughest test because the dough is thick, sticky, and has to knead for several minutes. For each mixer, I used the exact same recipe, mixed each batch on the lowest speed until no loose flour remained, then kneaded the dough for around 8 minutes on speed 2, which is the highest speed KitchenAid recommends for this type of dough. KitchenAid rates these mixers at 275, 325, and 350 watts, which makes it sound like you're getting more mixing power as you move up the lineup. But wattage measures how much electricity the mixer can draw, not how much force actually reaches the dough. During kneading, all 3 hovered around 100 watts, and their ranges overlapped considerably. So despite the higher advertised wattage, the more expensive models weren't drawing significantly more power during the test. The real difference during this test was stability. The heads of the Classic and Artisan bounced as the dough moved around the bowl. On both mixers, that movement caused the lock lever to shift away from the fully locked position and settle partway between locked and unlocked. Once that happened, the head bounced even more. I had to move the lever back into the locked position several times. The Artisan Plus was much more stable. The head moved slightly, but it bounced a lot less, and the locking lever stayed in position throughout the test. After kneading, all 3 batches were smooth and elastic. I refrigerated them overnight, then let them come to room temperature and rise before stretching each one and making pizzas. The finished pizzas came out almost identical, and they were all excellent. I didn't notice a meaningful difference in texture, rise, or browning. So after all that testing, which KitchenAid mixer is right for you? Before I give you my take, just a quick heads up that all 3 mixers are linked in the video description if you want to check them out. So the most important takeaway is that all 3 mixers get the job done. They whipped cream in about the same amount of time, produced very similar cookie dough, and made pizza dough that baked into nearly identical pizzas. All 3 have similar die-cast metal bodies, they weigh about the same, and all 3 have the same front accessory hub, so you can use attachments like KitchenAid's pasta roller, meat grinder, and food processor. So if maximizing value is your main priority, I would go with the Classic. Its bowl is slightly smaller and doesn't have a handle, and the included whisk isn't dishwasher safe, but its actual mixing performance was nearly identical to the Artisan. For most people, it does everything you need a stand mixer to do. With the Artisan, you're mainly paying for the larger 5-quart bowl, the bowl handle, and a much wider selection of colors. Those things might be worth it to you, but it didn't whip, mix, or knead any better than the Classic. The Artisan Plus is the most expensive, but it's the best mixer of the 3. The double flex edge beater reduces the amount of times you need to stop and scrape the bowl, and the heavier stainless steel attachments are much more substantial, and all of them are dishwasher safe. It was also more stable while kneading pizza dough, and I like the redesigned speed control that makes it easier to land on the right speed. I also appreciate the safeguard that prevents it from starting if you accidentally plug it in when the speed is set above 0. The bowl light is nice, but I wouldn't pay extra for that alone. The value comes from all the smaller upgrades added together. If you're still not sure which one to buy, this chart makes it easy to compare them side by side. Pause the video if you want to take a closer look. So if KitchenAid is out of your budget, or you just want to know if these mixers are worth the premium, I ran the exact same tests on 3 cheaper alternatives. That video is coming soon, so click the logo and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And if that video is already live by the time you're watching this, I've linked to it right here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.